Thank you so much, family. Welcome to the channel. I welcome you. I am your friend and your brother, Marshall. And tonight, I'm going to introduce a series of teachings on how Israel was removed from the promised land. The dispersion of the Jews, or the dispersion of the children of Israel. So we are going to deal with how Israel was removed from the promised land and ultimately scattered abroad. And so studying the history of the children of Israel shows, will show that actually there were waves of migrations for the children of Israel. These are people who are always on the move. These are people who are always wandering from place to place. These are people who are never settled in their homeland. All the nations of the world are living in the land of their ancestors. All the nations of the world are living in the land of their ancestors, except for the children. We are back. I had some network problem here. So I have said that all the nations of the world are living in the land of their ancestors, except for the children of Israel. They are the only ones who are not living in the land of their ancestors. And now, for those other nations that are not living in the land of their ancestors, the reason is because they have chosen not to live there. Okay? But for the Israelites, it is something that has been forced upon them. They are where they are not by choice, but by circumstances. And these are the things that I want to address in this program right now. These are the things that I'm addressing right now. We are living where we are, not by choice, but by circumstances. And I am going to talk about these circumstances as they have fallen upon us, so that we may understand exactly what has happened to us as a nation. The Israelites are not living in their promised land. And we're going to find out the reason for that. Right? We'll soon find out. So let me quickly take you to the scriptures, because I'm going, first of all, to let me just lay a foundation so that you may understand what I'm talking about. When the people of the Bible, the Israelites, left the land of Egypt, they were constituted as a nation under Elohim, under the God of their forefathers. The Most High Yah chose them as a people for his own possession, his own inheritance. And so he entered into covenant with them, just like he entered into the covenant with our forefather Abraham. So even in the wilderness, he entered into covenant with them now as a nation to constitute them as his own people. That is what happened. And they became his own possession, his own treasure. All right. So that's what happened. Then following that arrangement, He gave them laws, regulations, statutes, commandments, and precepts whereby they should live, because he had entered into covenant with them. It was like a marriage. Okay, so that is what actually happened. And so he gave them conditions under which they should live in that land once they possess it, bearing in mind that that land was inhabited by powerful nations, more powerful than them. And he promised that he would fight for them and take possession of the land and give it to them, because the Canaanites who had possessed that land had sinned against him greatly, and he wanted to remove them from that land because they had polluted that land with idolatry, blood, witchcraft, worshipping of evil demonic spirits. And so the Most High decided that he should give this land to the people who rightfully were the owners of this land, because the Canaanites had lived in that land for centuries and centuries. And the Most High was not happy that they were living illegally in that land, and he gave it back to the ones to whom it was allocated back in the days of Noah. But he didn't just give that land to them free of charge. There were conditions under which they should live. He gave them laws, and these laws came in form of food laws. There were certain foods they must not eat. There were certain foods they must abstain from. Certain meats, fish, from all living creatures, the Most High gave them guidelines on what they must eat and what they must not eat. As we read the book of Leviticus, number 11, we see the food laws. Actually, not 11, but 18, sorry, 18. That's where we see food laws. Then there were many other things. Then we also see marriage laws. There were marriage laws, regulations governing marriages. They were given. First of all, they were told not to marry from outside. They were only supposed to marry Israelites. Only Israelites. So he began to give them constitution. That is what happened. Apart from that, he gave them the priesthood. He appointed Aaron as a priest over them, so that the Levites may minister as priests between the people and the Most High, to atone for their shortcomings, sins, and other things. They were to be the ones to offer sacrifices on behalf of the people, led by Aaron, the high priest, of course. So we see the establishment of the priesthood there. Then we also see there were also other regulations about military warfare, right? Military warfare, about how people should live. Gave them circumcision for all male Israelites. All male Israelites were to be circumcised, just like he had spoken to Abraham. He told them about how the women also were to, observe their laws, right? There were laws regarding the women. And all these things, because he's now making them into a peculiar people, a treasure unto himself. So that's the point, right? That's the point. So now we see the people agreed to live under those regulations. They agreed. And as they agreed, the Most High would bless them. That's what the scriptures tell us. The Most High would bless them. as long as they lived under those laws and commandments and statutes, that he would bless them, he would protect them from their enemies, he would give them favor among the other people. That is what it was like. So now we see when they entered that land, we see that there was something that happened. And first of all, Moses died while they were in the wilderness. He died, so he didn't reach the promised land. The people were ushered into the promised land by Joshua, who had succeeded Moses. And then from there, we see that after the death of Joshua, Joshua also brought them under oath, whereby he told them that they should not depart from the law. They should not depart from the commandments of the Most High. And the people agreed that they were going to serve Yah. And they agreed. But after the death of Joshua, we see the people started living without a leader. And we read in the book of Judges that each one was doing according to what he wanted. The nation of Israel became like, it was like a confused kind of life that they started living. They didn't care. They lived like other nations. And so the Most High mercifully gave them judges. These judges were like rulers who rose up to deliver them from the enemies who were attacking them, like, for example, the Philistines, the Moabites, and the other nations who were coming. So the judges would come. God would, the Most High would raise a judge who would fight for them. That's why we have the people that are famously known, like Samson. He was a judge. We have Deborah. She was a judge. We have Othniel. We have we have Ahad. He was a judge, and many more others. All right. Jephthah was a judge also. And so after the period of the judges, the Israelites desired to have a king. They desired to have a king. And they petitioned Samuel, because Samuel was raised as a prophet among them. And they went to him and petitioned him that he should entreat, he should ask Yah to, allow them to start, a system of government where they had a king over them like other nations had. And the Most High was not happy about that. Nevertheless, he allowed them because they had already decided. They had already decided. So he allowed them to have kings. And the first king that was appointed, whom they really wanted to be their king, was King Saul from the tribe of Benjamin. And so this man became their first king. And we read the story about him. We see that, no, he didn't do well. He didn't do well. He always, went against the word of the Most High. He always acted presumptuously. He even consulted mediums. Whenever he noticed that the Most High was silent about a situation, he would go and consult, mediums. And the Most High was not happy. So he removed him from the throne and appointed Dawood. That is David. That's the one he appointed to be king over them. And now we see Dawood also died. And Dawood was from the tribe of Judah. Okay, so he died and he left Solomon to be the successor to his throne. And Solomon also lived in his own life. And then after he died, the kingdom split into two, right? So we see the coming of the northern kingdom consisting of 10 tribes, and the southern kingdom consisting of 2 tribes. Of course, we know that the priests, the Levites, majority of the Levites went to the southern kingdom because there was the temple there, and they wanted to be ministering in the temple, so they remained with the majority of them remained with the southern kingdom. So we have the tribe of Judah, tribe of Benjamin, and partly tribe of Levi in the southern kingdom. And then we have the 10 tribes. Definitely, we have the other tribes. The leading tribe in the northern kingdom was the tribe of Ephraim. So the southern kingdom remained, and their capital was Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. Right. So then the northern kingdom had their capital in what is called Samaria. That was their capital. And so they continued this with their kings and this with their own kings. But we see that in the northern kingdom, there was so much idolatry, and the Most High was not pleased. And he allowed them to be deported, right? To be taken away, to be uprooted from that land. Because every time there was immorality, every time there was compromise, the Most High would, use enemy nations to come and fetch them out of there and also scatter them. That is the dispute, because it was the covenant that he had given them in Deuteronomy 28. So it started in the year 721 BC. Let me share the screen and read the scripture, and so that we may understand exactly what I'm talking about. Right. So I'm going to read from the book of 2 Kings, 2 Kings 17. That's what I'm going to read. 2 Kings 17. Right. All right. So let's do this. Right. Let me just that corner there. Problem is corner there. Okay. So 2 Kings 17. There we go. Verse 7. Okay, so let me read this scripture. 2 Kings 17, 7. For so it was that the children of Israel, right? The children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh, their Elohim, against the Lord their God, which had brought them out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods. You see, so that's the way it was. They had sinned against the Lord their God. So now let me explain these words. The translators of the Bible removed the name of Yah, and so this is the name. This is the name. Let's just see it here over there. Okay, so this is the name which they translated to mean the Lord. It is Yahweh. Okay, Yahweh. That's the name. That's the name. Against Yahweh, they are Elohim. Can you see? They are Alawahim. That's the name. That's the name. So they are God. They sin against Yahweh. They are Alawahim, which had brought them, who had brought them out of the land of Egypt. So the author is remembering, is recounting how the Israelites forgot that they were brought out of the land of Egypt by Yahweh. So they sinned against him and they feared other gods. They feared other gods, other Elohim, right? They feared other Elohim, right? So that's what happened. They started serving other gods. They started worshiping other gods. So what happened? Let's read on. And walked, right? And had feared other gods and walked in the statutes of the heathen. They started observing the customs of the heathen. They started observing the traditions of the pagans, whom the Lord had cast out from before the children of Yashara'ah. Okay, that's what happened. They started doing the practices of the pagans. And these pagans, they are the pagans whom Yah had cast out, had removed them from before the children of Yashara'ah and of the kings of Yashara'ah, which they had made. And the children of Yashara'ah did secretly those things. So they went astray. They did the things that were not right against Yah, their Elohim, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. So you see, this was so much. It was so much that you see, it provoked the Lord to anger, for they served idols, whereof Yahweh had said unto them, you shall not do. This is what is said in Deuteronomy 28. You should not do. So this started in the year 721. That is when this started. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue now. Let's see what happened from there, because this chapter will tell us exactly what happened. The author is giving us a background of why they were deported. Okay, so they served Baal. They worshipped all the hosts of heaven and served Baal. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahuwah, to provoke him to anger. Therefore, Yahuwah was very angry with Yashara'ah and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. Can we read this? Are you following me? Right. So Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord. Judah kept not the commandments of Yah, their Elohim, but walked in the statutes of Yashara'ah, which they made. And Yahweh rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them and delivered them into the hand of the spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king, and Jeroboam drove Israel from following Yahuwah, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Asharah walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. So we are taught. Now let's come to the point here. This is where I'm coming. Verse 24. Right. This is verse 24 now. And the king of Assyria, right? Can you see? The king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Qatar, and from Avah, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Yashara'ah. Can you see? So the king of Assyria came and brought other nations. he first of all took these Israelites out of this place, the 10 tribes. He took them and he brought the Babylonians, the Cathars, and these from Ava, from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and he brought them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. Can you see now what happened? This is what happened. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not Yahweh. Therefore, Yahweh sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Now, these are the nations. These nations which came in, they didn't fear Yahweh, and he sent lions, and the lions slew them. Now, this might be another subject I'm going to talk about, because names of places have changed, and many people don't know exactly where this promised land was. So I'll talk about this one in the next, and in another session, another teaching session, because lions are in Africa. You may understand this. You may understand this. You must understand this. Lions are in Africa. All right. So we'll talk about this. Wherefore they spoke to the king of Assyria, saying, "The nations which has removed." All right. So let's continue. Let's continue. All right. So I'm talking about the Babylonians who had come. The king of Assyria, they had a very bad, habit, the Assyrian kings. Every time they conquered a nation, they would uproot the people from their land. They uproot them, and they bring other nations. That was their system. They would take you out of your land and bring other nations which they also conquered. They would swap places. They swapped nations. These people were crazy, mad. They were so distracted. Their aim was to destroy the history of every nation they conquered. That was the point of the Assyrians. They wanted to destroy the history of every nation they conquered. So they conquered Babylon. They conquered Hamath. They conquered these other nations, and they swapped places. They removed the Israelites and brought the Babylonians and the other nations to come and dwell in that land. So that's how it was. You need to understand this. So we're dealing with why or how, Israel was removed from the promised land. How they were removed. And I've also talked about why. Why they were removed, because they stopped following after Yah, the Most High, and they started serving idols. How they were removed? They were removed by the enemies who came and swapped places. They brought strangers. That is how they were removed. Right. So let's continue. Let's continue. Right. We are here again. All right. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. So we see the Assyrians were very destructive. They were people who destroyed history of every nation they had conquered. They would burn. Let's read this. Let's read this. Let's read. This is something. They would burn the scrolls, the books, and everything, and also destroy villages. Then they would bring other people. So let's continue to read that. Let's just continue to read this so that you understand. So I've talked about the northern kingdom, how they were uprooted. Then we also come and talk about where they went, where they took them, right? We'll come and read that in another session. So, but for tonight, I was dealing with how they were uprooted. It was the Assyrians who actually uprooted them from their land, for the promised land, from the promised land. So I am coming back. I'm coming back. So they uprooted them, and then they swapped places with other nations. With other nations. All right. So let me conclude from here. So we have talked about background, the background to the to the removal of the nation of Israel. I've talked about how the nation was constituted. I've talked about the covenant that the Most High entered with the nation of Israel, and also I've talked about how the kingdom was split, and after that we see a lot of idolatry going on in the northern kingdom. So next I'm going to talk about the what happened to where they went, because we've talked about they removed them from there, and then they brought other strange nations to come and possess that land. And this is the reason why I said that even up to now, only strange people are living in the promised land. Strange people are always living in the promised land. And we're going to see when this is going to end. So thank you so much. Shalom. Share this video to your family, friends, and other contacts you may have. And then let's just move together. Hallelujah. God bless you.